YouTube. It's your boy, Sean Matrai, and I am here to talk about Salamangreat. Ignore the Buster Billionaire deck on the left. This deck is here, and it is top tier, in my opinion. I think it's the best deck in the box. I think Oki's really good too, but I think Salamangreat is the best deck. If you have not played this deck, I do have a combo guide on this, but I'm going to warn you, that is a Master Duel combo guide, which I'm going to give you my own combo guide. Alright, when it comes in terms of Duel Links. Alright, hold on, we're going to go back to the list. I'm going to lower the volume so you guys can hear me. Alright, Duel Links is different when it comes in terms of this. Okay, the one thing I need you to know is that my Master Duel combo guide goes over Master Duel combos. In Master Duel, we have Spinny, and we have Access Code, and we have Update Jammer. We do not have those cards in Duel Links, okay? But with that being said, we're going to go over the deck. I'm going to talk to you guys about the best hex in the deck and what you guys should be looking forward to in this deck. Alright, first is Gazelle. Gazelle is extremely powerful, and the fact that we got it is absolutely amazing. Gazelle is a level 3. Now, it's an extender, and it also is a starter, while also being, yeah. So, anyway, when Gazelle summoned, it can dump any Salamangreat card in the graveyard. That could be Jack Jaguar, that could be Falco, that could be Foxy, that could be any of your spells and traps. Circle, Rage, well, we don't have Rage, but we have Roar. Okay, so you're going to aim to dump one of those cards in your graveyard. Okay, so that's the thing you need to know. Also, when a Salamangreat is sent to the graveyard, doesn't matter if it's from the hand or the field, we can special summon Gazelle. So that's the main thing. So the thing you want to know when it comes in terms of Gazelle is that we could send it from the, we could special summon it from the hand when a Salamangreat hits the grave, or we can special summon it, or we can, and we can unsummon, whether it's normal or special, dump a Salamangreat card to the graveyard. And that's very relevant because a lot of your Salamangreat effects attempt to trigger in the grave. Now, on top of that, we are running 2 copies of Jack Jaguar. And now, Jack Jaguar, if this card attacks a defense position monster, it pierces. And while this card is in your graveyard, if you control a Salamangreat Link monster, you can special summon this card to a zone the link points to. So, for instance, if we have Sunlight Wolf on the field, we can special summon Jack Jaguar to that zone. Okay? All link zones, I'm going to teach you a little bit about links as well. I'll teach you basics on links, but link summoning in general, you're going to be able to summon this to one of those arrows. And when you summon it, we'll talk about it because Sunlight Wolf will allow you to get effects, but we'll talk about it when that comes to. And that goes back to what I'm saying about Gazelle. You want Jack Jaguar in the graveyard. That is generally the way you want to go. So when you summon Gazelle, you get this in the grave. And when this is in the grave, and you have additional links on the field, you can extend and gain advantage off of it. Now, next is Salamangreat Foxy. Foxy has 2 effects. However, you can only use one of its effects per turn. So you're either going to use the first effect or the second effect. So its first effect is on normal summon. You can excavate the top 3 cards. And if there are any Salamangreat cards, you can add them to your hand. So it's just like if you know Dark Magician, right? I know a lot of you have played Dark Magician, right? You know about Circle. It's just like Circle. When you activate it, you reveal the top 3, and you add one from your deck to your hand among those 3. And it can be any Salamangreat card. It does not need to be a Salamangreat monster. So if you reveal Circle, you can add Circle. If you reveal a copy of Roar, you can add Roar. Okay? Now, the nice thing also about Foxys is another effect. While it's in the graveyard, you can discard a Salamangreat, special summon it, then you can destroy a face-up spell or trap on the field. So if you go up against something like Metal Foes, and they have pendulums, pop the pendulum scale. You can pop a Dark Contract with the gate, you can pop any face-up continuous spell or trap. You can pop a Circle in the Dark Magician matchup. So that can be really good for you. And it's an extender, so we play 2 of it. Now, on top of that, we are running 3 copies of Falco. Now, Falco has 2 effects. Again, you can only use 1 Falco Protect per turn. So, first effect is, if it's sent to the graveyard, anyway, you can add a Salamangreat spell or trap from the deck to the grave. And remember, we talked about Gazelle dumping any Salamangreat card. So you could dump Circle or Roar and then use Falco to add one of them back. Now, Falco, on top of that, has a second effect. It discards in your graveyard, and you control Salamangreat monster. You can target one Salamangreat monster you control, bounce it to the hand, and then special summon it. So this could actually plus you back to the hand, and also has the utility of adding a Salamangreat spell trap to the hand, which is really advantageous. We'll talk about that. But yeah, that's what Falco's going to do for you. And you can only use one of those effects per turn, so be careful. Now, next we are running 3 copies of... let's go over the Salamangreat cards first. Salamangreat Circle. Now, if you are free to play, at least get 3 copies of this. Salamangreat Circle is very powerful. So what Circle does is it has 2 effects, but you can only activate 1 Circle per turn, and you're only going to get 1 of those effects. First effect, add any Salamangreat monster from your deck to your hand. So you instantly can search Gazelle. That's most of the time what you're searching. Unless you open Gazelle, then you're going to search either Foxy, Jaguar, or Falco. Second effect, if you control a Link monster that with the same name, Link summon using a monster with the same name, you can make that monster unaffected by monster effects for the rest of the turn. Now, what a lot of people do not know about Salamangreat is that summoning a monster with the same name, you might say, why would I do that? Why would I just link over my monster and make a monster with the same name? Well, you're going to get advantageous effects for doing so, okay? And you may say, but that's a lot of resources. We're going to go into Sanctuary, and this is all going to come together once I go over the whole deck, so don't worry about it. Sanctuary has the effect, okay? So, Salamangreat Sanctuary is your field spell. If you link summon a Salamangreat monster, you can use 1 monster you control. 1 Salamangreat monster is the whole material. Okay, so that means, this will come into sense when I talk about how to link summon. Alright, you could take a Link 2 and use it and make another Link 2 with the same name. Also, during damage calculation in monster battles, you can pay 1,000 attack, target 1 Link monster you control, make its attack 0. And if you do, gain life points equal to its original attack. Second effect of this rarely ever comes up. It really doesn't. Unless they're swinging over a smaller monster to lethal, and you're going to gain a little bit of life off of that. Alright? And then avoid lethal. But, you know, that really never comes up. You might say, okay, fine. But how am I going to get to the strategy? I have 1 field spell in the deck, and there's 30 cards. Shouldn't you be playing 3? The answer to that is absolutely not. Because we're going to go over the Link monster that you have that's going to search that for you. Alright? But first, I want to go over Signet Mining. This is a UR. I'm running 3. I know everyone's going to panic. If you do not have 3 of this card, shrink your deck down, run less. But if you do have 3, play 3. I think 3 is correct. Signet Mining allows you to send 1 card from your hand to add a level 4 or lower Cyberse type monster from your deck to your hand. Your whole deck is Cyberse. Lady Debug, Gazelle, Jaguar, Foxy, and Falco. All of them are Cyberse, so you search any monster. Also, Lady Debug we didn't talk about. If this is normal special summon, add a level 3 or lower Cyberse. This searches Gazelle. It's like Stratos. This is exactly Stratos for the deck. Summon it, you search Gazelle. And then you can combo off just with this alone. Lady Debug and herself is a 1-card combo into Sunlight Wolf. And we'll talk about that. So if you're unsure of what to do, you just got in this deck, and you said, man, everyone's been telling me about Salamangreat. I don't know this deck. I don't know how to link summon. I don't understand how to maximize my advantage. That's why I'm here. And you can ask me any question on stream. I'm here for you. Alright. Next, we are running a bunch of text in the deck. 2 Enemy Controller. Enemy Controller, obviously, you know what it does. We're also running 3 Crackdown. Now, this is a brand new card. Crackdown allows us to target 1 face-up monster our opponent controls and takes control of that monster. This card, I think, is the most broken trap in the game right now. In the game that you can have. And it's going to get even more broken as more links come in the game. But I think this card is insanely powerful. Alright. It cannot attack or activate the effects. But that's irrelevant. Because you are interrupting their play while giving yourself advantage. And a chance for you also to link off with their monsters. And we do have generic link monsters, including one that we're running in this deck. Alright, so this is a new selection box cards, but I think this card is an insane 3 of. Alright, this card I didn't go over. This is Salamangreat Roar. Roar is insanely powerful. Alright, this is the card I did not think we were getting. But Roar is very powerful. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated while you control Salamangreat Link, negate the activation. So, immediately, this is an Infernity barrier. So, they go ahead and they summon. Let's say they activate Circle, negate. They activate anything, negate it. Now, this can be chain blocked. So, let's say they go into Trishula, right? Necrosa Trishula, and they chain block this with a Cherie, or they go into Black Rose Dragon and chain block this with a White Rose. Those are the things you have to be careful of, okay? This will not negate directly. This will negate the last thing that activates it in said chain. So be very careful in terms of chain blocking. This is a counter trap. Now, if you do destroy this card. Now, second effect, while this card is in the graveyard, if you link summon a Salamangreat with the same name, you can set this to the field, but banish it when it leaves the field. That is incredible. So if you are able to set up Circle in combination with Roar, then you can abuse that and gain advantage. So, really, really powerful. Okay, so now we're going to go over the rest of the deck in total. Alright, so the rest of the deck is 3 Needle Ceiling. Alright, now I know a lot of this trap lineup is very expensive. This deck looks very expensive. Okay, and it is, but you could shorten it down to make a free-to-play version. You don't need all the exact back row that I have. Needle Ceiling is really powerful because of Balangs. Balangs, when it's in the graveyard, will protect all your Salamangreats. So, immediately they cannot do anything to your salads. Okay? So, very good. Your salads will all get protected by banishing the Balangs. Now, what also makes this really good is that this will instantly wipe your opponent's field. So, if you go up against something like Heroes, we can generally end on like a board that has 2 Salamangreats on it. And then you can wipe their whole hero field. Sunrise goodbye, everything goodbye. Really good. Now, we also play 1 copy of Bottomless and 2 copies of Karma Cut along with that. Alright? So, really good. Now, the extra deck. Salamangreat Balangs. So, this is a link 1. It takes 1 level 4 lowest Cybers. Okay. Going into Link Summon. Let me go into Link Summon it first. Okay. All Link monsters have a Link rating. You see Link 1, Link 2, Link 3. Okay, that tells you how many Link materials you need to summon it. Now, in generalization, every monster is a Link 1. Okay, except every general monster. Not Links themselves, but every general monster is a Link 1. Alright, so if you summon an effect monster, it's a Link 1. If you summon any normal monster, it's a Link 1. Ritual is a Link 1, Synchro, Exceed, you get the idea. Alright, so Link 1s summon with 1 material. Link 2s need 2 material. Link 3s need 3, and so on and so forth. Unless we talk about Link climbing, which I will get into shortly. There's exceptions to the rule, but that's your general rule. So Link 1 meeting, any one of these monsters, okay, will go into Balangs, because it's a Link 1. And when I say that, I mean it also must meet its condition. Its condition of a Link monster to summon this says 1 level 4 lower Cybers monster. So you must also meet the Link material plus the condition. But it's like a Synchro material, right? Like, Synchro monsters could be a level 8, right? But it may say, okay, it needs a specific kind of tuner. Like, take Shooting Star Dragon, right? It needs a Synchro tuner. Even though it's level 10, you just can't make it with anything that adds up to a 10. Or you take something like, what else is specific? Okay, so let's say Arobus Fairy Jasmine, right? Needing a plant. I think hold on. Let me see something. I don't want to leave you guys down the wrong path. Aroma, okay, this is generic. Star Guardian, right? Let's look at Star Guardian. Right? Star Guardian requires a TG monster, right? So it's kind of the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Except with Links, you need to meet the Link material, which is a level 4 lower Cybers. The whole deck is Cybers. So any one monster summons this. Really good. Okay, so when Balangs is Link summon, it searches Sanctuary for your deck to your hand. So on summon, it's a +1. So let's say you summon Lady Debug, right? Normal summon her, you add Gazelle, that's a +1. You link it to Balanx, that's another +1. So you've already went +2. Very good. Now, if a Salamangreat card you control will be destroyed, cards, so multiple cards, you can banish this from your graveyard instead. So already really good. So if you have Balanx in the grave, it will banish itself to protect destruction. So they Tretch you, they Needle Sealing you, too late. Alright, now, on top of that, we are running...
Sean?
So, that's pretty much that. Sorry, just had a little bit of an interruption there. Okay, so that is pretty much that. Okay, now, going on further, we have Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf. Now, this is the Link 2, okay? This is the next one up. Now, Link 2s are a bit different. They require 2 monsters, right? We talked about everything being a Link 1. So, Link 2s need 2 1s to make. 1 plus 1 being 2, okay? You can't use Link 2 for itself. Unless we talk about the field spell, okay? If you, like I said, every generalization of making 1 card is a 1. Unless we're Link Climbing. But we're not up to Link Climbing yet. So you can't just link this off and say, hey, this is Link 2, let me go into another Link 2. No, you still need to use 2 monsters to make another Link 2. Alright? Cool. Now, Link 2 Sunlight Wolf will allow us to get a few effects. Now, if a monster is normal summon, special summon to a card, this points to. Now, every Link monster has arrows. Okay? It's another thing. Every Link monster has arrows. You can see these arrows, and the ones that are highlighted in red are the ones you need to pay attention to. The arrows represent the zones they point to. Okay? So, for example, if you summon a Link monster in the extra monster zone, that's going to point down and point up toward your opponent. Now, if your opponent or you summons a monster to this points to. So this points to. Now remember, this is pointing up. So pointing up is towards your opponent's monster zone. So if they summon a monster to that arrow, you're also going to trigger Sunlight Wolf's effect. You can add a fire monster from your graveyard to your hand, but for the rest of the turn, you cannot normal summon or special summon monsters with that name. So if your opponent summons it to their zone, you can add it back. Now, and if you summon to your zone, you can add it back. And that could also work, like if you Kaiju in that zone, you can also do that as well. Alright, like if you summon a Kaiju, like Dogoron that just came out, and you tribute it, and you put it in their zone that this points to, you get to add back as well. Now, in Master Duel, you typically add back Ash Blossom off this. We don't have Ash in the game. That's not a thing. Okay, but in here, we can add back Gazelle or any Salamangreat monster. So really, really good. Or Dogoron, like that's a fire if you attack it. Okay? Second effect, during your main phase, if you control this card that was Link summoned using Sunlight Wolf's material, you can add a Sunlight spell or trap from your deck to your hand. You're going, hold on, I have to summon a second wolf on top of this using 2 more monsters because in order to make a Link 2, I need 2 more monsters. I need this and another. No, no, no. This goes back into the field spell. Alright, going back to Sanctuary, you can use the entire monster as the material. So Sanctuary is your cheat code. Alright? It says, in order to summon another Link 2, I don't need 2 monsters. I could just use the whole monster as material. This is like your cheat code. Alright? So you can cheat out a Link 2. But it's still properly summoned. It's not like summoning it like Starlight Road, where Stardust Dragon comes out, and then it's not properly summoned. It's properly summoned. So you summon this out, and then you can activate the second effect. So if it was used as using the whole wolf as material, you can add a Salamangreat spell trap from your graveyard to your hand. And this goes back to dumping Circle and Roar of Gazelle. Really good. Now, the last card I want to go over in this deck is Heat Leo. Heat Leo is a Link 3. Okay? And this has the ability to, on Link Summon, target a spell or trap in your opponent's zone, shuffle in the deck. So Circle, any Pendulum, go back in the deck. Once returned during the main phase, this was Link summoned using Heat Leo as a material, Target one face-up monster in the field and one monster in your graveyard. Half the attack of... the attack of the first target becomes equal to the other targets. So, if you target a monster, it could be your opponent's or yours, and then target a monster in your graveyard, the attack of the monster you target, whether it'll be that or your opponent's, becomes the attack of the monster that you targeted in the graveyard. So if you target a 2300 attack monster that your opponent has, and you target 1000 in your graveyard, it becomes that target. Same could go vice versa. If you target a bigger monster in your graveyard and you want to boost up yours, you can do that as well. Or lower it, whatever you want to do. Alright? And that effect can only happen when you use the same thing as the wolf when I went over it. It has to be link summoned using another Heat Leo's material. So to do that, use the cheat code. Now, you're probably saying, how can I summon a link? Is there an easier way to summon a link 3 than to just use 3 monsters? And there is. And this is what I call link climbing. Okay? So, everything with a higher link rating, you notice Wolf has a link 2, right? And a link 1. If you use a link 2 as part of the material, or something with a higher rating as part, not the whole, as part of the material, then it will count for its rating. So, if I use Debug and Sunlight Wolf, then I can make a link 3 using those 2, because this is the link 2 altogether. And then I'm using another monster. Only because I'm using other monsters can I do that. If I wanted to go to a link 2 to a link 2, I would have to use 2 monsters. But if I want to go to link 2 to a link 3, I can use this and this to become a link 2 instead of a link 1, and then this as a link 1 to go to a link 3. And if I wanted to use a link 4, and I'm using another monster, I can use link 2 and 2 to go into a link 4. Example, access code, we don't have that in the game, or Firewall Dragon. And that you can do with that. Okay? So that's one of the combos. One of the common things you do with link monsters. Okay? All link monsters are color code blue. They have arrows that point to zones. It's very important because you got to be very cautious in reading this. Also, having an arrow that points up is very dangerous. You got to be careful with to summon it because you could summon it to a zone where your opponent could take advantage and maybe pendulum summon to a certain zone that they wouldn't be able to. So you got to be careful. All right? So that's something that comes in the rule of pendulums and links, that they can summon to zones that your link arrows point to. So that's something you want to be very close attention to. Now, one of the link we're running is Security Dragon. Now, this is very important. Okay, this is another rule when it comes in terms of links. Co-linking. Now, what is co-linking? And you're probably like, scratch my head, because I don't know what co-linking is. Okay, co-linking is when 2 links are linked together and the arrows are pointing to each other. 2 or more. So, Spiral is a deck of the TCG that commonly uses this. You use this with the Nightmares, and then you co-link it with, like, Spiral's Double Helix, but don't worry about that. In Duel Links, how are we going to use this? So, what you're going to do is Sunlight Wolf is going to go to your extra monster zone, or Heat Leo. So, what you're going to do with this is you are going to co-link this by, since Sunlight Wolf's arrows point down, you're going to summon the link under it, and then, since the bottom arrow touches the top arrow, you can now get its effect when co-linked, because the arrows are touching each other. Now, the other thing you need to know about co-linking and link summoning in general is when you initially link summon, it's got to go to the extra monster zone. Okay? So your initial link summon. After that, then you point the arrow, when the arrows will act, when you link summon, the links will have to go under each other. Not necessarily touching each other, but under each other to work. Alright? So Security Dragon, those 2 links would be touching, the bottom arrow and the top arrow, down, up, and then Security Dragon can use its effect when co-linked, target 1 monster your opponent controls and returns its stamp. Okay? And you can only use Security Dragon's effect once per turn. So this could be really good. And this is so good with Crackdown because what's the material? 2 monsters. So if you activate Crackdown, you steal their monster, summon another Salamangreat, and link off their monster. And get a free body on the field. That's really powerful. What's also really powerful when it comes to terms of Security Dragon is, think about this, right? Think about Crackdown. When we have cards like Access, well, who knows if we're going to Access Code, I don't know. But if we get other powerful links, then we can abuse them with that, right? Okay. Anyway, I'm going to go over a few generic combos. Make sure you follow me on Twitch when I go live. All right, which is about... I'm going to be... The next time I'm going to be live is going to be on Friday, likely. So look for me then. But you're going to want to know about this because it's extremely important. Link summoning here, understanding link summoning is very important. All right? So we're going to talk about this. All right? Understanding the combos. Because I'm going to go over all this on stream. So if you want to know what's going on, make sure you're there. All right? So Lady Debug. When you summon Debug, Debug in herself is a 1-card combo. All right? So what you're going to do is you're going to normal summon Debug, and Debug is going to search a copy of Gazelle. Now, luckily in Duel Links, you don't have to worry about Ash Blossom, because that really does suck when you get Ash there. But there are ways to play through it, but we don't need to worry about that. So you're going to summon Debug, search Gazelle. After that, we're going to use our one material Debug to link summon into our Balangs, which is a link 1. After we link summon into Balangs, we're going to trigger its effect to add Sanctuary. Okay? So you're still following here. This is great. You can pause and rewind the video. Now, with Sanctuary, we're going to go ahead and activate this in our field zone. After that, we are going to go ahead and use Sanctuary's effect. Now, to link somebody using a monster with the same name, the cheat code, you can only use that once per turn. So you can only cheat code once per turn. You are now going to link off that Balangs into another Balangs. So, cheating it out. Alright, doing that. Okay? So you're going to do that. Now, after you do that, you are now going to be able to summon out your Gazelle. Because the Salamangreat went to the graveyard, you are going to be able to summon Gazelle. Now you're probably asking me one thing. Why can't you just use Balangs for Balangs? Why do you have to use the field spell? They're both linked ones, right? 1 for 1, you said 1 material, 1 material. There's a reason. And the reason why is because this takes a level 4 or lower cyber. So you can't use Balangs for itself. Alright? The only way you can cheat that out is with the field spell. Okay? So if you're wondering why, you have to use the field spell now, that's why. Okay? So once your first Balangs goes to the grave, you're going to special Gazelle. Now, once Gazelle hits the field, Gazelle will trigger its effect, and you are going to dump Jaguar. Then after that, you're going to link your Gazelle and your Balangs into a copy of Sunlight Wolf. Once Wolf hits the field, you are going to activate Jaguar in the graveyard to target the zone that your Sunlight Wolf is pointing down to. Special summon it. Now, when Sunlight Wolf is on the field, you activate the effect. When it points to Sunlight Wolf pointing down, and then you add Gazelle back to your hand, and that's a 1-card combo. So that netted your field spell, nets Gazelle back to the hand, and a Sunlight Wolf on the field, as well as a Jaguar. And potentially any back row you have to set. Now, going on further, we're going to talk about Salamangreat's Circle. Alright, so Circle is also a 1-card combo, or Gazelle. But Circle makes it a little bit more profitable. So you're going to activate Circle, search Gazelle, or summon Gazelle, that's all you have. You're going to summon Gazelle. Gazelle is going to dump a copy of Jaguar. Again, this is less profitable. It can work, but it's not as good. And then you link off into your Balangs. Balangs adds your field spell. Then you're going to special summon Jaguar back to that zone that Balangs points to. Link off at the Wolf. And if you activated Circle, link off into another Wolf and then add Circle back to your hand. Okay? So that's a Circle combo. If you do a Gazelle, it's not that good, because if you do it with 1-card killing the Gazelle, it's not as profitable for you. Alright, now we're going to talk about one more combo here. And that's Debug. Well, not Debug. Debug really doesn't work with this. Gazelle plus Jaguar. Or Falco. If you have Circle, this works as well. You're going to normal summon Falco. Okay, or Jaguar. Then you're going to link off that Falco into, or Jaguar. Or we'll just say for this instance, Jaguar. Let's start with Jaguar. This will be a little bit easier. You're going to summon Jaguar and link it off into Balangs. Then after you link it off, you're going to trigger your Phalanx effect, add your circle, add your sanctuary. Then after you do that, you are going to special summon Gazelle. Gazelle, this time, will dump your Roar. Okay? Then you are going to link those two off into your Wolf. Okay? And then you will activate Jack Jaguar and Grave, special summon it to the zone that your Sunlight Wolf points to, adding back your Gazelle. Or, yeah, Gazelle. Okay? For your follow-up. Then you are going to link that off again using your cheat code into the second Wolf, and then trigger the second Wolf to add back Roar. Now, if you started this off with Gazelle, with Circle, you could add Circle back, then trigger Roar's second effect to set Roar to your field. And then gain even more advantage, and then be able to set that. What is this deck lacking? I would say it's a finisher. It really lacks a turn 2. That's kind of the thing it lacks, is a finisher. Where the board ends to. But in my mind, I think it's definitely top tier. And I can discuss more with you on stream. But that's pretty much where we're at. If you do this with Falco, you have to target a Salamangreat you control and return to the hand. So it gets a little bit more annoying. But you could do with Falco, it gets a little bit more annoying to do this off with Falco, because then you have to bounce another monster. So you kind of have to have more of an extender than not. So, yeah. But we'll keep it here. I'll teach you more on stream. Until next time, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I will have replays out in different video. But until next time, this is Salamangreat Overview and Link Tutorial. Take care. See ya.